Good morning and welcome to Dot. My name is Amanda. At least it's morning here where I am making this video. I am making French toast for my kids this morning. I think we are planning on decorating for Christmas later this morning, and I just wanted to kind of start the day off with a little bit of festivity. I don't cook breakfast very often. My girls are almost 14 years old, and so they cook breakfast or do their own breakfast most days these days. But I'm gonna start off, so this is my Mema's recipe, and it's not really a recipe because just like me, she never cooked with a recipe. And I'm not making that much today. I'm just gonna make like 5 pieces, 2 for the girls and 1 piece for me because I want a little bite of it, you know? I mean, I'm the cook. So I'm gonna start with 4 eggs, I think. I think that seems like a pretty good number. My Mema actually had hers. The big base of it was sugar. Hers was sugar with like a little bit of egg to bind it. We're gonna cut back on the sugar a little bit for ours. So whenever I'd go visit my Mema, she would say, Amanda, what do you want for breakfast? And I would say, Mema, I want French toast. She made the best French toast. She had a way of getting it crispy on the edges and it was soft and gooey in the middle. She used Mrs. Baird's very thin white bread. I don't buy white bread very often, which is why I got the idea for this breakfast this morning, because I bought this white bread for the stuffing recipe that I use for Thanksgiving, the dressing. We do a cornbread dressing and you need a couple pieces of white bread in it. So whenever there's white bread in the house, if I've got extra, that's when I'm like, oh, let's make some French toast. So as you can see, I've got like just a little pan to dip my bread in. So I'm just whisking my eggs. And then again, I think my grandma would use she would use probably like a whole cup of sugar. I don't know. I'm gonna use a little bit more than 1/4 of a cup. Work this into the eggs. And then I like to get fancy and I will add things like vanilla or almond extract, but my Mema, she didn't have flavorings like that in her house very often. I mean, she kept cinnamon. Cinnamon and sugar were like 2 spices that, or I don't know if you can even consider sugar a spice, but cinnamon was one of the only spices that she ever had in her house. So I'm gonna use about 1/2 teaspoon here. Oh, it smells so good. Get that. Cinnamon, there's a really cool word for it. It's hyper, what's the word? It's where water won't penetrate it. I'll have to look it up and put it down on the thing. It's kind of cool. So it's hard, basically what that means is it's hard to get it incorporated into wet ingredients. Oh, it smells so good. And then we're gonna add a splash of milk. I am using whole raw milk. When I cook, I usually don't use raw milk. I usually use this just for drinking, but it's what I have this morning. If you wanna make it a little extra decadent, put a little splash of cream in it. So basically what we have here is a custard before it's cooked, and then we're gonna soak our bread in it just really quick. Make sure it soaks all the way through, and then we're gonna kind of griddle it up. So let's go over to the stove. Okay, so I have a griddle pan on my stove, but you can also use a skillet or you can use, you know, an electric griddle, whatever you have. And I'm just going to kind of coat it a little bit with some butter. And I've got it on a pretty high temperature right now. I'm trying to preheat it and get it nice and hot. So if you're new to my channel, I usually focus on healthy homemade dinners, but you know, every once in a while it's fun to throw in a fun breakfast, and it's also fun to kind of treat yourself to something that's a little bit more decadent, right? So while this is getting hot, I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple of pieces of bread in here to soak up. You want, especially because these are a little bit on the thicker side, I want to give them just a minute to kind of absorb the custard. And flip them over. I started out with 4 eggs. That was probably too much, but it's always hard to guess And I'd rather have too much than too little, because when you have that last one and you're just trying to soak it up and it's dry, that's just miserable. And then having to make extra custard while you're in the middle of frying these up. Yeah, but see, when you put them down and you hear that sizzling noise, that's what you want to hear. And we want to give them a chance for the egg to cook all the way through. And I'm kind of poking down on them to help the custard get soaked up into the bread. So I'm gonna lift it up here and check. Nope, not good yet. So some French toast recipes don't have any sugar in the batter itself. They just rely on putting syrup on top or powdered sugar. My Mema always put the sugar in the batter, and then we don't serve it with extra syrup or powdered sugar on top. We just eat it straight up like this. Okay, so that's not cooked through yet. So I want it to start to get a little bit of browning on top. If you start with a brioche or challah, oh, there's my little Echo. My little kitten Echo. He's what, 14, almost 15 weeks old now? Here, Echo, while the bread's cooking. I'll have to wash my hands, but isn't he cute? It's my little Echo. He's like, oh, Mama, what you doing? Okay, I gotta wash my hands now, buddy. Watson, when I first started this channel, was much more into pacing the kitchen. I think he always was trying to figure out who I was talking to. Watson's my pug, by the way, for my new people. Ah, see, that's the color we want. Anyway, but these days he's like, okay, Mama's just talking to herself. I'm just gonna lay over here in my bed. You see, you don't want to flip them too many times or else they'll start to fall apart. Now, my griddle, it's always hotter in the middle. So what I might do is kind of rotate them around, and you just have to kind of work with your stove. Okay, this one's been soaking up for so long, it's gonna start to fall apart if I don't get it out. Let me show you Watson sleeping here. Hey Watson, am I cooking? I'm cooking some breakfast this morning. Okay, we'll get this last one in. See, these cook up really fast. A lot of times I'll serve them with some sausage to have a little extra protein. This morning, I'm just doing it really quick, and I serve with some fresh fruit. Aha! Let me zoom in for you. Smells so good and cinnamony. So comment down below, what is your favorite breakfast treat? Like if you're gonna have a decadent type breakfast. So actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna make one extra piece. Maybe my husband will want one. So if you are new to my channel and you like the idea of learning more about, you know, healthy homemade dinners to get dinner on the table so that you can eat with your family more nights of the week, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Well, here you go. A beautiful, beautiful French toast. And again, a lot of people like to put powdered sugar or syrup on top, but because I put sugar in the batter, I don't do that. It's plenty sweet. And it's creamy custardy in the middle, and you can get like the brown crunch on the outside. Wow, does that transport me back to childhood. Every time I go see my Mema, Mema, make me French toast. Oh my gosh, this is absolutely perfect. Okay, well, I better calm my kids down so that they can eat theirs while it's still hot. But I want to thank you for joining me in my kitchen this morning and watching how to make homemade French toast. And please consider hitting that subscribe button as we grow our foodie community. And until the next video, bye.